The story begins with a birthday celebration for Claire, played by Haley Lou Richardson. Casey, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, who is Claire's classmate, was invited out of pity. Claire tells her father, Neil Huff, that Casey often gets into trouble with teachers and is frequently sent to detention. When Casey calls for a ride home, she is informed that the car has broken down. Despite her intention to take the bus, Claire's dad insists that she go home with them. The girls leave with another friend, Marcia, played by Jessica Sula. As they are leaving, Claire's dad is approached by an unseen person who then enters the car, revealed to be a man named Kevin. Claire assumes that he has mistakenly entered the wrong car, but Kevin puts on a face mask and sprays the girls with a substance that renders them unconscious. Although Casey attempts to open the door to escape, Kevin subdues her as well. Kevin brings the girls to a windowless room in an undisclosed location. He pulls Marcia out and takes her outside. Shortly after, Marcia returns to the room after an alarming encounter and reveals that Kevin wanted her to dance for him. Claire suggests that they need to unite and fight back in order to escape. Casey, however, remains composed and insists on understanding the purpose of their captivity before taking any action. We witness a flashback featuring 5-year-old Casey, portrayed by Izzy Lee Coffey, alongside her father, played by Sebastian Archelaus, and her Uncle John, portrayed by Brad William Henke. Both men are hunters and are instructing Casey on hunting. Uncle John recounts a hunting experience involving a deer but gets distracted by the buck. Therapist Dr. Karen Fletcher, played by Betty Buckley, watches a news report about 3 missing girls and how Claire's father discovered the girls and his car missing. Karen then receives an urgent email from someone named Barry. Barry is one of Kevin's multiple personalities, acting as a sketch artist with a strong Boston accent. He regularly meets with Karen in this persona. Meanwhile, the girls attempt to find an escape. They peek through a crack in the door and observe a woman conversing with their captor. Claire and Marcia call out to the woman for assistance. She approaches the door, but it turns out to be Kevin dressed in a skirt and high heels. This alter is known as Patricia, a polite British woman who reassures the girls that their captor understands their purpose and is not permitted to harm them. Karen participates in a Skype conference where she discusses her patients, many of whom suffer from DID, dissociative identity disorder, including Kevin. Karen highlights how certain identities possess capabilities that others may lack, and she can discern who has come to the light, which alter is in control. She also mentions that individuals with DID can influence their body chemistry with their thoughts. The girls encounter a new personality named Hedwig, who behaves like a 9-year-old boy. He informs them that Patricia and Dennis are angry with him and that he's in trouble. Casey engages with Hedwig, attempting to persuade him to let them leave by claiming that Patricia and Dennis are still upset with him. Hedwig eventually leaves, allowing the girls to search for an escape route within the walls. Claire discovers a hollow area in the ceiling and begins to break through the plaster. As Hedwig starts to return, Casey and Marcia hold the door shut while Claire attempts to crawl out. Kevin transforms into Dennis as Claire navigates through the vents, finding an exit and running for help. However, she is discovered by Dennis and is instructed to remove her shirt before being locked in a room. In a separate session with Karen, Kevin switches to the persona of Barry. Karen expresses doubt about whether she is truly speaking with Barry, noting certain traits typically associated with other alters like Dennis, such as OCD. Barry insists that he has improved, but Karen mentions that Kevin has 23 distinct identities. When she brings up a 24th identity, the Beast, Dennis confirms the existence of this alter. Patricia takes Casey and Marcia to get food, and Marcia is compelled to remove her skirt while Casey takes off her flannel shirt. Patricia brings them to a dining room and begins making a sandwich. He becomes upset when the sandwich is cut unevenly and starts making another one. Marcia seizes the opportunity to strike Patricia in the back with a chair and runs for help. Casey tries to escape as well, but Patricia catches her and orders her to her room. Eventually, Marcia is also captured and locked in a room alone. In the security footage, Karen and her assistant, Jai, M. Night Shyamalan, observe a trash bin being knocked over outside the building, causing garbage to spill everywhere. While a couple walks around it, Dennis purposefully walks straight through the mess, leading Karen to believe it was intentional. Hedwig engages in playful conversation with Casey and awkwardly asks to kiss her, which she allows. He then brings up his music collection and his fondness for dancing to Kanye West. When Casey asks to see his room and music collection, he complies, and she notices a drawing of a closed window over another drawing of an open window, prompting Hedwig to realize her escape attempt. As Casey becomes frightened and tries to pacify him, Hedwig pulls out a walkie-talkie, which Casey uses to call for help while struggling against him. Despite her efforts, Hedwig overpowers Casey and retrieves the walkie-talkie. A flashback shows young Casey on a hunting trip with Uncle John, who tries to coerce her into undressing by claiming that animals don't wear clothes. In a tense moment, Casey holds a rifle on him, but he manages to disarm her. Meanwhile, Claire and Marcia try to use a wire to unlock the door from inside Marcia's room in an unsuccessful escape attempt. Karen visits Kevin's home and is greeted by Dennis, with whom she discusses the Beast and the Horde, the collective name for Kevin's major identities: Dennis, Barry, Patricia, and Hedwig. Karen becomes genuinely terrified and goes outside to find Claire trapped in her room, but Dennis intervenes and prevents her from helping. Casey discovers a laptop containing videos of each of Kevin's identities, including one named Orwell, who discusses philosophy, and another named Jade, who is diabetic. Dennis retreats to an abandoned train car and begins to transform into the Beast, growing significantly taller and stronger than his other identities. Upon returning home, he encounters Karen, who attempts to defend herself with a small knife. However, the Beast overpowers her, ultimately killing her when he squeezes her until her spine snaps. Casey exits the area to search for the other girls, discovering Marcia's lifeless body with her abdomen torn open. She then locates Claire, who is still alive but being dragged by the Beast as it launches an attack. Finding a note penned by Karen, it reads, "Say his name, Kevin Wendell Crumb." The Beast approaches Casey, but she persistently utters his name, causing him to revert to his normal state. A brief flashback depicts Kevin's mother scolding him as a child, using his full name, berating him for creating a mess. In the present day, Kevin has no recollection of his actions. Casey reveals to him that he killed Karen, Claire, and Marcia. He instructs Casey to find a gun in one of the cabinets and urges her to end his life. The various identities vie for control at once. As the Beast begins to resurface, Casey discovers ammunition and loads the gun. The Beast ascends the ceiling, extinguishing the lights and leaving Casey unable to target it. The Beast assaults Casey, tearing her shirt and biting her leg, but she manages to escape. She barricades herself in a cage and reloads the gun. The Beast attempts to breach the bars but notices multiple scars on Casey's body. Another flashback shows a young Casey after her father's funeral, with John assuring her that he will be her new guardian. The Beast declares that Casey is pure-hearted and leaves her be. Shortly after, a man descends the stairs and locates Casey. He escorts her outside to safety. Once outdoors, she observes numerous animals in an enclosure. Medics arrive and transport Casey away. Meanwhile, Kevin is isolated, thoroughly under the control of the Horde. Patricia asserts that the Beast will now protect them. The final scene unfolds in a diner where patrons are tuned into a news report about Kevin's actions. The anchor woman points out how the beast embodies traits of the animals from the enclosure where he was employed. A patron remarks on the resemblance of the case to that of a man in a wheelchair from 15 years earlier. When she struggles to recall his name, a person nearby interjects, "Mr. Glass." It is then revealed to be David Dunn, his character from Unbreakable, in a surprise cameo. The scene fades out.